life cycle of viruses. So before we go for the life cycle of viruses, we should know what exactly the virus is. Virus is actually made up of two parts. Okay, viruses, all the viruses, they are made up of two parts. One, inside they have a structure which is known as the material, the genetic material. Okay, we call it a genetic material. Normally, for example, if I say this is a virus, okay, for example, if this is the virus, so this is the outer covering of the virus. Okay, this will be the outer covering of the virus, and then there will be a tail. Like this is, I'm making, this is bacteriophage. This virus is called bacteriophage. Why? Because this virus, this is having like this structure, okay, almost like this structure. And in this virus, there is outer covering, and then inside it can be having a DNA, or it can be having an RNA. So a virus has two major parts. One is the DNA structure or genetic material, and it has another thing which is called, which is actually outer coat, protein coat. Okay, so these are the two parts. So DNA or RNA, genetic material, which can be DNA or RNA, DNA or RNA. Okay, and then it is a protein coat which is called capsid. Okay, protein coat is also known as capsid or protein coat. Protein coat, cover, outer covering, protein coat. So a DNA, so a virus can be a DNA virus, it can be RNA virus. What does it mean? A DNA virus will be containing DNA as its genetic material, and an RNA virus will be containing RNA as its genetic material. Okay?
Okay.
COVID-19 is RNA virus. Okay, now, so basic structure of the viruses, just remember they have two main parts. One is the outer covering, which is protein based, we call it capsid, and the internal structure is either DNA or RNA. Correct? Any problem? Both of you?
No.
No. Okay.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna have to leave now.
Okay, you can leave, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. So next, I'm moving next, isn't it? Shall I remove this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm removing this part now. So now if we are moving, different types of viruses take different type of cells. Some invade the plant cells, other invade bacterial cells. So that structure which I made, that was a bacteriophage. So what is a bacteriophage? A virus which cause diseases in bacteria. The name, what is that? Bacteriophage. Bacteriophage. A virus which causes diseases in bacteria, it is known as bacteriophage. Viruses are much smaller than even bacteria. So that is why some of the viruses, they cause diseases in bacteria too. Okay. So now, next thing is, I told you the features of a virus. The features of a virus, I told before. What is the feature? Viruses cannot survive without a host. Correct? Explain why viruses cannot replicate outside a living cell. The reason is because viruses, they are non-living particles. They lack the cell structure, main cell structure, machinery they lack. So what they do, once they enter into a living cell, any living cell, so what they do, they start to take over the machinery of the cell. Make note of this thing, okay? So once a viral particle, we are using the word virus particle. Once the virus particle is able to make entry into a living cell, only then what it will do? It will take over the machinery of the cell and make the cell structure to work for it. We call it master-slave relationship. Please make note of this. This relationship is called master-slave relationship. Master-slave relationship. What is master-slave relationship? A relationship between viruses and a living cell. Once the virus enter into a living cell, it start to take control of the nucleus of the cell. So once the nucleus of the cell is in control, so the cell actually becomes the slave of the virus. So now virus cannot make its own copies, okay? Remember, so it will make the nucleus of the host cells to make copies of the viruses, okay?
Yeah.
And that is why we are calling this relationship as master-slave relationship. Now,
Okay.
once we are going into the detail of, you can answer this thing. Explain why the viruses cannot replicate outside a living cell? You can give answer for this question?
Yeah.
What is that? What is the meaning?
Because they're non-living and lack cell structure, so they can't survive without a host.
Yes, so they actually lack the machinery of the cell, basic units of the cell like cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus, correct? So what exactly they have to go for? They actually go for master-slave relationship. Once they enter into a living cell, then what they do? They actually start to take over the machinery of the cell. They control the cell, so they become the master, and the cell structure itself, it behave like a slave. Correct? One more important thing. Now look, so for example, if I make it like, for example, this is a cell, okay? This is a cell. A virus is made up of what? How many things? Two things. What are those two things?
The genetic material and the capsid.
Genetic material and capsid. For example, this was the host cell, okay? It has its own DNA, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the DNA of, or this is the nucleus of, this is the host cell, okay? The virus will make entry. The detail I will be telling you a little bit later, okay? For example, this is a virus. I'm going to make a virus. For example, this is the virus, okay?
Yeah.
Virus cannot enter into the host cell. Make note of this. This virus will be having its DNA or genetic material only, yes?
Okay.
So example, this is host cell, and outside what is there? This is the virus. What virus will do? Virus will inject its DNA or RNA into the host cell. Okay, so this is DNA virus or RNA virus?
RNA.
No, this is DNA virus. Why? Because it is double-stranded.
Oh, okay.
Correct? So
Yeah.
this is DNA virus, correct? So what happens once the virus attack a host cell? This protein code, the capsid, it does not enter into the host cell. Only what enters into the host cell? The DNA or the RNA of that virus. Please make note of this, okay?
Can you explain that again?
Now look, once, for example, this is the host cell, yes?
Yeah.
When the virus enters into infect a host cell, okay? For example, this is the lung cells of human, okay? And this is the COVID-19.
Okay.
COVID-19 is RNA virus, so it should be having RNA here, okay? I made it DNA, correct? You just remember, even whether it is RNA or DNA, infection will take place the same way with the way I'm telling you, okay?
Yeah.
Infection will always take place in the same way. I will be explaining this thing in more easier form. Look here, this is the virus. I made it bacteriophage. Yes, it was having a kind of tail. It was having a tail like this, correct? And inside it was having DNA or RNA, for example. Okay, this is the virus. Okay, and this is the tail. This tail is pointed. This is pointed. So once it will enter here, it will stick here. Okay, this is the tail which will enter here, and on top, what is there? On top, that is virus. Virus is here. Okay, for example, this is the virus on top. Okay, so inside this virus is having its own, for example, this is the DNA of the virus. Okay, so it will rupture, this tail will rupture this cell membrane. Okay, and it will make the entry of this DNA into this host cell. That's all. The capsid will remain outside. Did you understand? All the viruses cannot, the protein code cannot enter into the host cell. Please make note of this, okay? Protein code cannot enter into the host cell. Once a virus infects any host cell, it transfers its genetic material, either RNA or DNA, into the host cell. Once this RNA or DNA will enter into the host cell, what it will do? It will take over the nucleus of the host cell or DNA of the host cell. Any problem now?
No, it's fine now.
Okay. Now, once it will take over the DNA of the host cell, now what it will make? The DNA of the host cell, it will make two things now. For example, I'm referring to this orange color. Okay, this is the virus. This virus I'm referring to. Okay, so I will be removing this now. For example, the DNA entered into the host cell, correct? Of the virus, correct?
Yeah.
The DNA, this DNA will take control of the DNA or the nucleus of the host cell. So host cell will be making what? The host cell will be making couple of things. Look, couple of things the host cell it will be making. First of all, it will be making the protein code. Protein code, it will be made separately, and moreover, it will be making many protein codes will be there. Okay, many protein codes.
Okay.
And similarly, inside, it will be making many copies of the DNA, many copies of the DNA. For example, this is the copy of the DNA. So every DNA will be developing its own code. Who is making this code around this DNA? Host cell.
Yeah.
So after that, what will happen? Many viruses, they will be present inside, yes?
Yeah.
So these viruses, they can come out. So there is a term that is known as, so once the viruses are very, very high in number, for example, these viruses will start to grow in number, yes?
Yeah.
So once they grow in number, so they will be so high that host cell, it will burst. Once it will burst, all the viruses, they will come out and they will start looking for another host cell. So in this way, this is known as the spread of viral infection. Any problem till now?
No.
Okay, so that is what I mean. We end the session till now, till this time. Okay, till this point. Then there are two ways, two ways of life cycles. Okay, the way the viruses they spread. There is a lytic pathway and lytic. Okay, or lysogenic. Lytic and lysogenic. Okay, the spread of viruses. So viruses spread by two methods. So this we will be discussing in the next session, inshallah.
Okay.
So just remember this, how the virus get infected, or this host cell get infected. Many viruses they start to produce inside. Ultimately, this host cell bursts. All these viruses they come out and they start looking for another host cell. So in this way, the infection spreads from one to the other parts of the cells. Okay. So life cycle of the viruses we will be discussing next session, inshallah. Okay. So I'm done. We are done with the session now.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.